Pretty much every Democratic candidate has accused border authorities of putting kids in cages. Here's John Hickenlooper trying to take it up a notch.
If you'd ever told me any time in my life that this country would sanction federal agents to take children from the arms of their parents, put them in cages, actually put them up for adoption, in Colorado we call that kidnapping.
Not just cages, but kidnapping and adoption? Who's adopting them? Can't be liberals because they want the kids to stay with their parents. Can't be conservatives because it's obviously we hate Mexicans. Okay, I'll bite. Let's talk about putting people in cages and why kids are separated from their parents at the border. In 1984, I was arrested for drunk driving. I was drunk and I was driving. The police we hired to keep our streets safe towed my truck and put me in a jail cell. At my trial, I pled guilty and was ordered to spend a week in Los Angeles County Jail. A month later, I turned myself into the local police station and rode the bus in handcuffs to the jail, where I was put into a large holding cell. After processing, lice shower, cavity search, etc., I was locked in a large dormitory filled with bunk beds and criminals. I spent a couple of days there before I was assigned to a small cell that I shared with 3 other dudes. And when the lawful punishment for my unlawful act was finished, I was taken to another holding cell before my personal effects were returned to me and I was released into the streets of Los Angeles at 4 in the morning. If you don't count the cop car and the prison bus, my little outlaw adventure landed me in 5 different cells, bars, locks, the whole deal. This is called being detained. The idea is that you are locked up either as a punishment or to keep you around until it's decided whether or not you deserve to be punished. If you are a child and your parent is detained, it's not considered good policy to just let you wander away. Crossing a border without permission is unlawful. Not just our border, any border. Why do we have to get a passport before we fly to a foreign country? Because the airport we arrive at is a border to that country. If we show up without a passport or are violating some other requirement, we are taken to a holding cell and detained. None of the cells I've just mentioned are cages, and all of these cells are cages. It depends on your point of view. In LA County Jail, the guys I met were as caged as I was, but nobody was whining about it, and no protesters were lined up outside screaming for our release from cages. Let's be honest. Democrats use the word cages because they are reinforcing the false narrative that Donald Trump thinks of illegal aliens as animals. Now, if any of the guys I'd met in jail had had a child with him when he was arrested, would any sane person prefer that that child not be separated from his or her father when that man was detained? Should his daughter go through the induction process too, and then hang out with daddy and the guys with the gang tattoos? Our current border controversy exists for one reason. A Republican won the presidency with a promise to stem illegal immigration. If Hillary Clinton had won, ICE and the Border Patrol would be doing their jobs in peace, and Democrats would be talking about something else. But Trump won, and soon after, most of my previously sane Democratic friends began wringing their hands and emoting over the children being ripped from the arms of their parents. Remember that? Ripped! Not one progressive managed to resist using that term. The groupthink is strong with these people. I asked them, okay, tell me, when a man jumps the border with a little girl, you want them not to be separated? They would say, yes, it's wrong to separate a child from her parent. I would then say, okay, do you want the little girl to go stay with her daddy in the men's detention facility? Or do you want that man to stay with his daughter in the children's detention facility? This would usually shut them up. But the determined ones who still believe in the rule of law would say, there should be family detention centers. Family detention centers. What could possibly go wrong? The ones who are more honest about their leftist agenda would just say they should be given a court date and released into the United States. Since then, a number of family detention centers have been established, and predictably, Democrats absolutely hate these places. Listen, I've been arrested 4 times. I ran with a tough crowd when I was young. These arrests happened because I made the decisions that I made on those occasions. I willingly entered into an adversarial relationship with the police by breaking laws that I knew I was breaking. As most of you know, I have great respect and sympathy for hardworking people who leave undesirable or dangerous situations in Central America hoping for a better life here in the United States. I get it. I understand that it was nothing except the luck of the draw that allowed me to be born into an intact family in a just country where the police stood up to lawbreakers and punished them enough to scare them straight. We hear about the gangs and the lawlessness in these Central American countries that these poor people are fleeing from. Our liberal friends weep and moan about the lack of protection they get from their police and from their governments. And in the same breath, they demand that our police and our government not enforce our laws. They seem never to connect these dots. The only reason that we have a country worth sneaking into is because we have the rule of law. I was not exempt on any of the many occasions that I broke the law. And whenever I was caught, I was detained and my freedom was taken away from me. If I was an entitled whiner or a left-wing political hack, I would tell you that I had been caged. One set of rules, equally enforced. That's what we mean when we talk about justice. Attaching the word social to the word justice is an attempt to make laws solid for some groups and soft and squishy for other groups. Absolutely nobody is calling other countries racist for requiring American citizens to follow their border laws. Again, I fully grasp that I was born into a fantastic country by simple dumb luck. But dismantling the rule of law here is not the solution to the problem. Reinforcing the rule of law there is the solution. A couple of weeks ago, while the tragic picture of the father and daughter who drowned crossing into the States illegally was triggering a national panic attack, the president of El Salvador spoke up. I'll link his full comments below, but I'll give you the gist of what he said. Oh, but wait. First, let's hear from Adam Schiff. I have a special feeling for Schiff because he began his career representing my district. Not only did I meet him and eat sandwiches with him inside a neighbor's house, but I voted for him. Don't get excited. That was 19 years ago. I didn't know what I was doing. Schiff told CNN this.
I have to say that the president's effort to deflect responsibility, this is the product of this policy.
Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele said this the following Sunday during a news conference. Quote, "People don't flee their homes because they want to. They flee their homes because they feel they have to. We can blame any other country, but what about our blame? What country did they flee? Did they flee the United States? They fled El Salvador. It is our fault. Why? Because they don't have a job, because they're being threatened by gangs, because they don't have the basic things like water, education, health." Unquote. Thank you, President Bukele. I'm sure that you'll try very hard to get more criminals into cages, jail cells. The party I belonged to when Adam Schiff and I were raiding a buffet together in my hometown years ago has turned into a pack of accusatory jackals chasing the news cycle round and round and round, blurting out false narratives as fast as they can think of a way to blame every problem on Donald Trump. They are focused on illegal immigrants primarily as political pawns. The compassionate goal for all of us should be that the people fleeing to the U.S. for safety and a chance at a decent life not have to flee in the first place. How about we start looking seriously into stemming the tide of illegals at the source? Maybe we can make a difference down there, and maybe we can stop throwing insults at each other while we debate what is not even remotely debatable, the legitimacy of sovereign borders and the rule of law. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications. Hang on a second. Wait a minute. No, I'm really quite a strong guy. Hang on.
Okay, I think we're going to need a better take than that.
Okay, hang on. Okay, hang on. Let me get this.
That might work.